Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Eric and today I'm going to be talking about how I got into Harvard. So I'll be discussing things like academics, test scores, extracurriculars, my interview, essays, and additional information. So the reason I'm making this video is because I posted my reaction to me getting into Harvard on TikTok and on YouTube, and it did blow up quite a bit, and there was a lot of people who asked me in the comments to make a video explaining my stats, my extracurriculars, what classes I took, and that video is long overdue, so I'm finally taking the time to sit down, just expose myself to you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy and I hope you guys learn something from this video, and always feel free to leave your comments down below. So before we get started, I would like to first give out some disclaimers. The first one being, if you catch me looking down, that's because I have my computer right in front of me on my lap. Here is where I have all my information organized. Secondly, I would like to point out that please don't compare yourself to me. You should be aware that we're all different, we all have different lives, and that leads us to have different experiences and different attributes, which means that whatever worked for me might not work for you, and whatever works for you might have not worked for me. I'm only making this video to add to the large pool of other stats videos that can be found out there on YouTube, so you might be able to see how we're all very different from each other. What matters in the college application process is that you show yourself and who you are as a person. Colleges want to see students who are unique, who have unique experiences, and have something unique to offer to the college. It's better for you to follow your own path and do your own thing, as long as you're committed to what you do and you do your best. And that brings me to my next point, that you don't have to go to an Ivy League school. As long as you're passionate about something and you give it your all, then you should be on the right track to achieving whatever you would dream to achieve. So now that we have that out of the way, we can start with academics. So I attended a fairly sized public school in New Jersey. My graduating class was composed of 549 students, and I ranked number 3 out of those 449. So that placed me in the top 1% of my school. So I wasn't valedictorian or salutatorian for my class, and I guess that comes to show that you don't have to be top 1 out of your class to be able to be considered to be part of this prestigious university. So when it comes to classes, I believe for my school, the earliest grade you could start taking AP classes was in 10th grade, but I didn't really know this at the time, and I was very upset because I thought that I missed my chance to really show colleges that I could push myself. And so I took my first AP class in 11th grade, and I explained this in the additional information section on my application. So Harvard was well aware that I had the chance to take AP classes earlier than I did, but I explained why I didn't do so. And I think that's very important to note, because if you feel like there's something in your application that you might have doubts about, you can always explain it in the additional information section of the application, and hopefully it will help the person reading your application understand why you took the path that you took. When it comes to my classes, I took mostly honors classes. I took 4 total AP classes. Okay, so starting 8th grade, I took Algebra 1, which I am very thankful that my school district offered the opportunity for 8th grade students to start taking high school level classes. They had already complied with previous requirements, and I got a 94 for that class. So during my 9th grade, my first year in high school, I took Technology 1, which I got a 100 on. I took Honors World History, which I got an 88. Honors Physics, a 95. Honors Literature 1, 95. Geometry, 9th grade, 97. General Art, 9th grade, 94. And 9th grade Physical Education or Health, 98. Then for 10th grade, I took Spanish 1, which I got a 100 on. Photography 1, 100. JROTC 1, 97. Honors US History, 91. Honors English Language Arts 2, 89. Honors Chemistry, 93. Honors Algebra 2, 93. General Art 2, which I got a 100 on, and 10th grade Physical Education and Health. And I got a 94 for that one. So I was 1 point away from receiving straight A's for that year. Then for 11th grade, I took Video Production 1, 97. Honors Pre-Calculus, 96. Honors English Language Arts 3, 95. Honors Biology, 96. AP US History, 93. That's when I took my first AP class ever. And 11th Physical Education Driver's Ed, and I received a 96 for that one. Alright, so moving on to 12th grade. This is the year that I decided to jump to 3 AP classes to show colleges that I wanted to challenge myself. The point of senior year classes is that you show classes that you are willing to take the classes and hopefully receive good grades on them. So for 12th grade, I took AP English, Literature and composition, which I got a 95 on. Financial literature, 100 on. 12th grade physical education and health, I got a 100 on. AP calculus, I got a 96 on. And AP biology, which I got a 100 on. Alright, so my camera ended up dying on me, but let's get right back into what we were doing. And for GPA, I received a 4.232 and it was weighted. My school doesn't do unweighted GPAs. Alright, and so that's pretty much it for my transcript. So let's move on to my test scores. So when I sent out my application, I did not send my test scores because I thought my scores were bad. Because obviously my test scores did not compare to the average test scores for Harvard University or for other prestigious colleges. So comparing myself to other students who probably had better advantages than I did, I felt like I was not performing as well as I thought I should be. But my college counselor at the time looked at my test scores and she advised me to send them out anyways. And fortunately, I was able to still send my test scores, and that's what I did. When it comes to AP scores, I didn't really send them because my AP US history score was not as high as I would have liked it to be, and my other AP scores weren't going to come out until the end of my senior year. And on top of that, Harvard does not take AP scores anymore to skip classes or courses. So when it comes to scores, I'm not gonna give out the exact score. Instead, I'm going to give out kind of like a rough range just so I can prevent any embarrassment, because I do think these test scores are okay, but they're not as high as I would have liked them to be. Okay, so for the SAT, I received a score less than a 1450 but higher than a 1200. I did not receive perfect SAT scores. So for the ACT, my score was less than 33 but higher than a 27. So once again, I did not score a 35 or 36. And then for my AP classes, for my AP US history, I scored less than a 4. And that's the one score I did receive before my application, which I did not send. For my AP language and composition class, I scored less than a 4. My AP biology class, I scored a 4. And for my AP calculus AB class, I scored a 5. And that's pretty much it for the test scores. So I guess now we can move on to extracurriculars. Had more than 10 extracurriculars, which is more than what the Common App allows you to input into your application. So for my first extracurricular, which was the number 1 in my application, it's the Princeton University Preparatory Program. I was part of this program for all 4 years of my high school career. So this program is a rigorous academic and cultural enrichment program that supports high-achieving underrepresented high school students from local districts. The multi-year tuition-free program prepares participants for admissions to and ongoing success within selective colleges and universities. So this program was very crucial to my application process because they taught me everything about writing essays to searching colleges. Without this program, I would be so lost in the college admissions process. I was also part of my school's volunteer program, and I was part of this program for 2 years, I believe, or 3. Next, we have my 4-H STEM Ambassador program. This program is recognized nationally, and I was part of this program all throughout 4 years of my high school career. It's basically a program where we learn all about STEM, and they offer a lot of programs that have to do with all kinds of topics from STEM to government to medicine. So it has definitely been a great experience being part of this program. Next, we have my Let's Film program, which I was part of for about 3 years, ever since 10th grade, I believe. And this program deals less with the academic side and more with the arts. And I joined this program because obviously I'm into filmmaking, using camera equipment, and I thought it would be an interesting experience being part of a program that focused solely on that. Next, we have the Healthy Relationships, Healthy Choices Leadership program, which I did since 9th grade and I'm still part of until this day. And this is a smaller, more local program, and we learn about leadership, how to be a responsible adult and student. And it was fun to be part of this program because I learned a lot about how to be a leader, how to be confident in myself, and I've met so many great people because of this program, which I'm very happy about. Next, we have my rowing team. So I was part of the rowing team during my 9th grade year, but that was the only year that I actually did it. And considering that it was a sport and it was my first sport at the high school level, I included this one in my application, even though I only did it for 1 year. So I tried out for the wrestling team. That's what I did for my 11th grade year. And although this might be considered an honor instead of a program, but I was also part of the National Honor Society, and I put it as an honors instead of a program because it didn't really fit into the 10 available spaces for extracurriculars in my application. And I've been part of the National Honor Society for about 3 years, I believe. Okay, so that was pretty much all the extracurricular activities, and now we're gonna move on to the interview. So I've heard that not everyone gets an interview. It depends if there's someone available near you. So it highly depends on where you live. And in my opinion, it doesn't really matter too much if you get an interview, because in the end, your application will only benefit and it won't be hurt by an interview. So if in your case you don't end up getting an interview, don't worry, it will not hurt you at all. So in my case, my interview was done over Zoom because obviously there was a pandemic going on and we couldn't really meet in person. I really enjoyed my interview actually. My interviewer reached out to me through email, and I was very nervous about talking to someone who I never met before, but I think it went very well. I met with my interviewer twice. The first time we met for more than an hour. We were just casually talking. He didn't want this to be like a very formal and scary interview, but instead he wanted this to be kind of like a casual conversation between the two of us, and he just wanted me to talk about my interests, and he would ask me questions depending on what I told him. So it wasn't like he had a list of questions prepared. It all depended on what I would say, and he will build on that. And that made our conversation flow a lot better. I felt more comfortable when I actually was on camera with him. I didn't feel nervous when I was talking to him, and he seemed to be genuinely interested in what I was telling him. What we talked about most was about my history, my own story, and what brought me to this point in my life that I was applying to a prestigious institution like Harvard. And so we set up our next meeting, and our second meeting we met for about an hour. I felt pretty confident about the conversation I had with him, and I feel like that's the important part about interviews. Don't think too much about it. Like I said before, the interviews are only meant to help you and they won't hurt you, unless of course you expose yourself in a negative way. But when you and if you get an interview, you should definitely be calm, because the interviewers, all they want is for you to have a casual conversation with them. Like if you guys are meeting each other and you guys want to become friends, tell them your story, tell them what they want to know about you, and then at the end you can ask them questions. And I guess that's also another important part about the interview. You should definitely have some questions prepared, asking them about their experience at the college, or asking them general questions about the college, and that will show them that you're actually interested in attending that institution. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the interview. Let's move on to essays. So for my Harvard application, I had to write 2 main essays. One was mandatory and the other one was optional. So I won't really be getting into too much detail on my essays, mostly because they cover a very sensitive topic and I don't really feel too comfortable talking about it in a public way just yet. But for now, I'm just gonna give like a very broad overview of what my essays were about. So for my first essay, I had an option to choose a topic of my choice, and the prompt that I chose going with goes something like this. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, please share your story. So for this essay, I chose to write about my own story, what brought me to where I am today, and why I chose to apply to an institution like Harvard. And then for the second essay, the topic was that I could write pretty much about anything I wanted to write about. And the topic that I chose to write about was my role as the oldest of 4 kids. I talked about how my mom has depended on me to help her with things she would otherwise struggle to take care of all by herself, like babysitting my 3 younger siblings. My essay focused mostly on my role as a big brother and how much siblings mean to me. I also explained how I aim to be an inspiration to them, so they can also follow in my footsteps and achieve their dreams without having any fear or doubt. And I would say that that's an essay that I feel more comfortable sharing with you guys, but it is very long, so I would rather not have that in this video. So if you guys are interested in listening to that essay, make sure to leave it down in the comments below, and I'll probably make a separate video for that. And that was pretty much it for the essays. Moving on to additional information. So So I had already explained a few things that I added to my additional information section of my application. Like I explained why I did a different sport every year and why I didn't really want to commit to one sport or activity for all 4 years of my high school career. But on top of that, there was another section that I could talk about how I've been intellectually active outside of the classroom. And for that, I added a few activities that I've done. For example, my YouTube channel, which I've been doing for quite a while. I also said that I've been learning how to invest in the stock market, how to solve Rubik's Cubes, learning French, and how to use camera equipment. So I personally believe having something that simple is pretty effective because it shows that you're not just focused on school, but you're also interested in a variety of things. And it makes you well-rounded because it obviously shows that you're doing different things that are all pretty much different from each other. Additionally, there was also a section that was solely concentrated on the pandemic itself, and in that section I explained how the pandemic affected my family, how my mom lost her job because of the pandemic, and how my school turned everything online and how that affected me, and how it was much harder for me to focus because I didn't really do too well compared to my previous years that were in person. But I also explained how I overcame these obstacles. I didn't just explain my hardships, I explained how I overcame them. And I feel like that's a very important part when you're writing your essays for any college in general. You shouldn't only explain the obstacles that you had to face, but also what did you do to overcome them. Show your strengths, not just your weaknesses. And I guess that's a good transition to my next topic, which are just general tips when it comes to the application process. Over the months, I've had many of you reach out to me over social media, asking me how did I get into Harvard, can I give any advice. So I guess for my first tip, it deals with extracurriculars. You should definitely join clubs that you enjoy. So if you feel like you're not gonna enjoy something, then don't join it because that's only gonna not only waste your time, but you are also more likely to not participate or be fully involved with that activity. But at the same time, you should also not be afraid to try new things out. So if you're not really sure about an activity, you should definitely give it a shot and see if you're gonna enjoy it or not. If you don't end up enjoying it, then you shouldn't really push yourself to keep being part of the activity because you could definitely put that time to better use by being part of another activity that you will enjoy much more. But be aware that quitting activities too much will end up hurting you because you definitely do not want to seem like a person who quits activities just because they want to quit. So definitely join those that you enjoy, but don't be afraid to try new things out. And so my next tip for that is that you shouldn't overwhelm yourself. Don't push yourself too much. Definitely join as many clubs as you want, but don't push yourself to the point where you feel overwhelmed or burned out, because that's only going to affect your performance not only in school but also in the activities. So definitely join the clubs that you can and that you know that you will be able to sustain. And when it comes to test scores, I have to say that test scores are not everything. So I go back to what I said earlier in the video, that we're all different people. Some people might not be good test takers and some people might be, in the sense that they struggle to perform well under pressure. So you should definitely not feel too bad about having low test scores if you gave it your best possible effort, because in the end, test scores are just a small part of your application. But it's important to know that you should definitely have other strong parts of your application to make up for your test scores. And I guess my last tip for you guys is be confident. No matter how good or bad you think your application is, you should definitely apply to the school you want to see yourself in. When I started my college application process, my dream was coming to Harvard. But when it came time to apply to colleges, I wasn't really too sure if I really wanted to apply to Harvard after all, because I knew that it was a very selective college and I wasn't sure if I really measured up to other applicants. And I was guilty of what I mentioned before in the video. I compared myself to others who applied to Harvard, and I saw all their high test scores, all the extracurricular activities they did, and all these amazing things they've done throughout their high school career. And so I thought that applying to Harvard was only going to be a waste of time. But in the end, I kind of just had like an impulse that I should just try it out. And I did have quite a few people encourage me to apply to less selective schools, and obviously this is good advice because you should definitely not put all your eggs in one basket and to not run the risk of not ending up with a college to go to by the end of the application cycle. Whew. Alright, y'all. Well, that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys learned something new from this. And for those of you who are now applying to colleges, I wish you the best of luck, and I plan to continue showing you guys this new journey because I definitely plan on making more videos, especially once I get on campus. So if you definitely want to see that, make sure to follow along. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.